So you probably know that we are talking about a simple short project, and then we've had in I think that was Wednesday, right? We had a section explaining what simple short is, the basics, where to start. I hope you guys remember we did that, and then I was like, today we are going to be talking about the allowed functions, how to use them, why to use them, when to implement them, why they are useful, their overview, their signature, and everything concerning what the allowed functions. And I was like, for the meantime, we can go into ALS concept that has been given to us, the exercises. Let's go and do it. I hope you guys went to check it out. So did everyone go and check the overview? Have you tried the exercises? Any problems? I want someone to share their experience with us before we move on.
Okay, so I'm not done with the resource on the intranet, but I've started it and I've started some of the tasks. I think I've done up to string token. And yes, the resource is really helpful, like in
Hello?
helping build a shell. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bala, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Hello.
Okay, so yes, the resource is really helpful. So if you can actually go through it to the end, because I just started and I'm not done, but I feel like okay, I know where to start from in the shell project. So I feel by the time I'm done with that resource page, I'll have more knowledge and I'll know what to do. So if it's something we can look into, it's nice.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bala. God bless you. I think someone else was trying to talk. Hello. Okay. So I take it as Bola took time to go through the resources ALS provided for us. That's very good. And if you encounter any problem going through those exercises, if you have any challenges, you can feel free to text me, okay, and I'll guide you through. And so I'll say it again for those who were not able to go through it or those who are not willing to share. I encourage all of us to go through it again, the resources again, and then try and solve the exercises because I wouldn't know where to start if you are not done with that resources. I wouldn't if you come into my DMs for help and I'm to ask you, have you done the exercise concerning fork? And then you tell me no, you don't even know what the fork function does, then that's you are basically trying to tell me that you're expecting me to go and learn the fork and then come and try to help you in implementing it, which is not very right to do. So I'll still encourage us to what to go into the resources again and try and learn them. So yes, so um I mean please you can talk. We are listening to you. You can take it and talk, say what you have to say.
So I wanted to say that during our time, I felt like the concept speech that Alex gave us was enough. Yeah, was enough to do at least the mandatory tasks, right? So that was the answer that I wanted to give when you asked what we felt about the resources ALX gave us.
Okay. So thank you very much. So as she said, just as she said, the resources is enough. That's why I'm still trying to stress on it. If you're able to understand what they are trying to tell us, you're able to what grasp the basics of what ALS wants from us, and you're able to what it's enough for you to be able to what complete the mandatory task that carries 100 marks. If you're able to what focus on the resources that was provided for us, you'll be able to what get the understanding of what they are trying to say or what they want us to do. So not to waste much time, let's move on. Okay. So, where is my notes? Okay. So before anything else, I want to also say that the I think they gave us three main ones, right? The fork, exec v, and the weight. So let's start with access. The first on the list is what? The access with function or system call. So the first one is what? The access. I think that's the first one, right? Yeah, that's the first one. And then is what? Is the manual is what? Man two, right? So this is the first function that you probably come across when you are trying to implement or build your own function. Then this is the first function ALS asks us to what? To go through. So this is what we are going to do. We are first going to look at why this function. Okay. So the last meeting I explained processes. I explained process to us, and I explained how we can be able to implement them to how we can be able to use them to track our programs and use it to implement in building our own functions. So the access function, okay, when you talk about the access, let's say you are building your simple shell, okay, and then you want to check. Let me try and use my machine here. This one can go down. So a moment. Okay, I think I was already there. The- So let me first, how should I even, so let me say zero, right? Let me start with the name zero dash. Why is this thing not typing? Okay, zero dash access dot c. Um, can everyone see my screen from here?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So when you talk about the access function, let's say for instance, when you are trying to implement or build your simple shell, okay, and you want to check if a process has the necessary permissions to access a specified file. Okay, you know that we are going to be dealing with files, right? I explained to you the last time that we are going to be dealing with programs, and these programs are in a form of what? A file. Let's say ALS is sorry, LS is what? It's a program, and then it is a file. So basically what you are going to do is you are going to let your shell what run this program. Whenever the user enters ls, the command ls, what you're going to do is you're going to find what? This program and execute it using your what? Your shell program. So before anything else, the first thing you should know is what? If the program you're about to open what? You have the right permissions to open that what? Program. That is when we use what? The access function. During our time, during our implementation of this shell, we didn't actually use the access because we didn't find the need to use it. But it's very important, okay? And then we didn't have anyone to tell us that you need to check if what the file you're opening, you have access to open it or not. Okay, so not to waste much time. So let's say if you want to verify if a directory, let me write something or type something down. If you want to verify if a directory, it's my PC slow. If you want to verify, okay, if a directory or file exists too, you can use the access. So one uses is if let me just say to check if a file or directory what exists. So let's say you can use it to check if a file or directory exists. And okay, so let's say you can use it to check if you have the appropriate permissions, right? If you have the appropriate permissions to what? To open that file or directory or to perform operations. to perform operations because so let's just say to perform operations on the file. I'm coming, I'll explain it to you in codes. But for now, you can say you can. For these are the two main uses of what the access them man two. If you want to check the manual of what of a system core function, I think most of us already know that how to do that, right? Let me see. We all know how to do that, right? To check for the manual of what of a function. If that is it. Actually, my this one is very slow. My PC is very slow today, so you have to bear with me. So this is how to check for the manual of what of a system call a function. So, but according to LS, we must use what man two, and man two is what here. So let me put it into codes for us to understand what it means. That if you want to check if you have what the right permissions to operate, or if it's appropriate to operate on a certain file, or basically yes, if it's appropriate to work on that file to perform operations. So the first thing you want to do is to include your necessary header files, right? We all know what a header file is, right? And then in this program, you must separate the header files from your program. I think that's more appropriate. Like you're supposed to have a file that contains all your function declarations, and then you have a file that contains the implementation. Then you have your main file. That's where you're going to what to actually do the how do we say to call for the appropriate functions to use and everything, right? So let's start writing something. Um okay, before that, does anyone has anyone used access before? Does anyone know anything we can add to access? What access is used for? Anyone? If I don't get an answer, I assume that so we are all not familiar with access and how to implement them in our shell. So yes, I didn't get an answer. So basically, let me just move on with it. So let me try and get the codes if I have the codes in mind. I want to check if okay, no, if I have the codes here. Or if I don't find it, I'll just let us write a new one and how we are going to use it. So CD lessons. Okay, simple show. But I've just gone back. Okay, okay. Nope. Okay, no. So then it means I have to what? I have to start it again. So let me type it. I want to type the signature for everyone to see. So, okay. So this is the signature. This is, should I say the signature? I think that's the right word, right? This is the signature of the what? No, not you. This is the signature of the function. You can write it down. It returns an integer and it takes a constant string. Okay. It takes a constant string. Let's say it is the path name. Okay. The path name refers to where the file can be found. And then it takes a mode. So it basically works like how you are opening files, right? So first of all, it takes the first argument it takes is the path name. That is where the file can be located. Okay. And then the second thing it takes is was the mode in which you want to check the file. Let's say you want to check if you have writing permissions to it or you have execution, like you're able to execute it. I hope you all know the different modes. Yes. So let's get to it. So if you want to include it in header file, this is the right way. Don't forget your semicolon. and then you just type the name there, and then you start using it. But okay. A moment, guys. Okay, sure. I hope you guys can still hear me. Can we move on? Hello, can we move on? I hope you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
Good. So what you want to do is that you want to include your what? The necessary header file. The access is in the what? The unit standard. So universal standard. So you want to make sure that you include it in your what? In your program or your header file, basically your header file, right? So because I'm trying to explain how it works here, for me, I will just put it here without creating a header file. I will just what create it here, then I include the necessary header file. So I'm going to be using print f. So let me include the standard input and output header file, right? Yes. Um, why am I having this? Okay, it's left. So first of all, we have our int main, that is a void. So I'm using these codes are not the answers to your shell implementation. They are what? They are just illustrations. How you are going to be able to use the what? The access function. So the parameters, I was explaining that the first thing it takes is what? It's a constant string, okay, which is what? The path name. Okay, so the path name to the file that you want to what? You want to check. So you will first have to declare it. Let's say here is for file path. Okay, so the string we are going to use here is file path, and then let's say let me create a file here to illustrate it, and let's try and open that file. Let's try and check if you have permissions or the necessary permissions for that file. So we can create any file here. So let's say touch, let's say test.txt, right? So, and what we want to do is that we want to include that file here. So because the program we are going to be running is what into the same directory as what this file, we don't necessarily have to include a lot of paths, but just what the file name. So test.txt, right? So yes, and I want to check for the permissions. The permissions returns an integer or the different modes. The second parameter I said the argument I said it takes is what is the permission. So the modes, you have different modes. We have, let me write them down here. The modes you want to use it to check. We have, uh-uh. Let me just type it. R underscore, okay. And then we have W underscore, okay. And we have E, is it no X executable underscore, okay. And then we have F underscore, okay. So these are the different modes you can pass to your function. So I'll explain to you what they all, why they are all there, and what they mean there. So this is read. You want to check if you have read permissions to that file. Okay, and the second one is, let me number them. The second one is if you want to check if you have write permissions to that file. And then the S is if you want to, the S, okay, is you want to check if you can what to be able to execute that file. And the for is basically used to find, you want to find if that file exists or that directory exists. So let's continue. So for the sake of the illustration, let me use for now. Let's use um, which one do you suggest we use, guys? Which one do you suggest? I think let's use read. Okay, we will use read to check it first if we can be able to what read the contents of that file. So let me comment it here to check for read permissions. Check for read permissions. Okay, so let's come here. So based on what you want to check for, that is what you are going to. If you, in case in this illustration, in case you wanted to check for what write permissions, would have used W instead. And if that makes sense, yes. So basically, yes. So for now, we want to check for what if you have read permissions. So what this function does is okay. When you are using it, you can create a file where a file to contain all your what your functions. Okay, and you can create a file that you are going to be putting with all your what is read not executable. So yes, so we want to check if we have access to it. So what we have to do is we have to write a statement to confirm if we have what read access to what the file we are about to open. So it starts with an if statement and then the function name, and then we want to pass what the file path to it. Okay, so the second parameter is what is the modes or the permission. So you want to pass that one to it. Okay, so I think we are good to go. So on success, it returns 0. I think I was supposed to write all of this before we go into the program. It returns 0. The next function, I'll do that with the next function. So on success, it returns 0. So you are trying to say that okay, if you have what read access to this what file, okay, then it should print you have read access to this file. Okay, so basically that's what we want to do. So we are saying that if what access is what is equal to 0, that means that what if we have read access, that is on success, if you have read access to the file, is going to be what is going to return what 0. So that's what we want to do now. So we are saying that if we have access to what the file we want to read, okay, if we have access to it, reading access to it, then it should print what you have read access. So what we want to do is that we want to write an else statement. Let's say what if you don't have read access to it? So we want to write an else statement to satisfy that. This one should come here. Okay. If anyone that does not understand anything, you can just bring my mind to it. So let me touch on something. We just don't start writing the else statement. Okay. In your show, you'd want to make sure that okay, when you don't have what when you are not able to perform a certain operation, what you want to do is that you want to return an error to the screen. You want to print an error. Let's say if someone wants to open a file and the person does not have access to that particular file, what happens is that it does not leave the person what it doesn't leave the person hanging, wondering why they were not able to what, open that file or read the contents of that file. So what you have to do is that you have to what indicate, you have to print an error to indicate that this is why what you are not able to what perform on that file. So the function we would want to use is what peril. We'll come to why peril and the reason why you're using peril in the implementation. So you would want to print something like access. Since it's an error, we can just print access, or let's say you do not have access, okay, so that you understand it better. You do not have access. Okay, then we want to, after we print the all, let's just exit for anything. I'll explain exit to you later. Let's just exit with status of, since it's an error, let's say 1. So Why? Why is my okay? Yes, I didn't bring a semicolon. Guys, very necessary. Do not forget your semicolons. When you start coding in Python and then you come back to C, you are going to be forgetting it a lot because in Python it does not really matter. We don't end every statement or every code, line of code with what? A semicolon. So that's what you want to do. Here, if you're able to read a code, you understand what we are trying to do. Yeah. We are trying to what? Let me go back through the codes again. I think the next one I have to be rather how do we say it? Rather explain everything before we actually get into the codes. Okay, so our main let me zoom in. We said our main will be returning an integer, so let's return 0. Yeah. Okay, so yes, think we are good to go. Why do I have an error here? Okay, good. So let me zoom out a bit. Okay, sure. So let's try and run our code and let's see what we get. Let's try and run it. So we are basically trying to check if we have what read permissions to what to this file called test, and that is the name here. Okay, so let's see. Mind you, this was just a file we created for to this was just a file we created just now to what to demonstrate it. But in your building of a simple shell, I've explained the programs we are going to be dealing with, so I will not touch on that for now. I've already explained the files we are going to be checking for the read permissions and everything. So not to waste my time, let's run it. Let's run it. I'm not running it with the flags because I know it does not support this type of declarations. That so let me just run it with GCC and take note of it the next time. So let me clear the screen first. Wow, is this happening on just my side? Hello guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay, sure. So then it means it's my PC that is just slow. So let's run it. Is that all right? Yes, of course. So um no input files. Wow, it's not easy. It's not easy. I think I need to do a lot of revisions on what on C again. So let's run it as what access. Okay, include okay. I used exit. So we need to include what the standard library. And I returned with what a capital. Why is no one telling me some of these mistakes? I hope you guys are still here. Are you trying to say that you are not noticing these if petty mistakes I'm making? So header file. We need to include a standard library because I used what? I used um
Exit.
exit. Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Why is nothing printing? Because we have not run the program. Because Python, it's not easy. Okay, so let's print our new line. Let me add our new line. The new line, where does it even go? So basically, let me clear the screen for everyone to see what we are doing here. So let's run it again. Why is the new line not working? I have to compile it again. God. It's not easy moving from Python straight here. So sorry about that, guys. Yes. So what it prints on the screen is that you have what read access to this file. Okay, telling us that yes, this file that we created, this file, the test.txt, it means that yes, we can be able to what read the contents of that file. So let's change the mode to I think I have to be pushing this code so that you can have access to it on my GitHub. So let's say do we have write permissions to this file? Someone would have to help us later change the permissions and let's see if it will still give us the same. Okay, so yes, so I would not want to print what read access. It should rather be you have what write access. So basically, that's the idea of this what of this function. Basically, it lets you it allows you to check if the file you are dealing with you have the right permissions to be what to be dealing with that file. So let's say let's use the F mode. I think that will be easy to what to implement that otherwise. So let's say this let's print you have found this file. No, yes, you have found this file or this file exists. Let's just print this file exists. So this file right exists. Do not forget to compile again. So yes, basically it tells us that this file exists. So let's see if what if the file does not exist, or let's delete the file on purpose and let's see if it prints this file what does not exist. Basically, that's what we want to do here. So let me clear the screen again. So guys, remind me the next time we are to go through the functions and everything about it before we come here to implement it. So let's compile it again. No, let's delete the
So that
file.
means there is actually sorry.
Yes,
So there is actually a function for locking your file. It's more of like not granting permission.
yes. Let's see. Okay, so let's say this file does not exist. For right now, I just deleted the file, right? So let's see what it tells us. I've actually not run this. Yes, so this file does not exist. So basically, what our access what function is working. Okay, so um, you realize that okay, so we're trying to check if the file exists, and then it says that well, this file does not exist. Why? Because we actually deleted the what the file. Okay, so right now, this is what you are going to do. We are going to change the file path. We are going to use the access file. That is the executable what file we just had from what compiling our program. So let's try and use that file name and let's see what happens now. Wow, what is the problem? My bracket my yes yes so yes. Let me clear the screen again. Okay. Okay, so let me run it. No, run it. Access. This file does not exist. So, okay, what is happening now? Let me see. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. I'm very surprised no one even tells me anything and then we are just going on. So it means, what am I even doing? I just try to compile it here again. So, yes. So let me clear the screen. Okay, let's run. Let me compile it again just to be sure. Great. So let's run this and see. So yes, basically it found the file what that it actually exists, and then it just what and which is true. The file actually exists here. So without wasting much time, does anyone have any questions for now? I'll push it to my GitHub so that I'll make sure I'll be pushing the work to my GitHub so that we can all have access to it. So to hear, does anyone have any problem or any question before we move on to the next function? Have any question concerning the access function and its uses?
Uh, Sorry, before you move on,
Sure.
please. Uh, when you use the access file, I think that was a compilation error. What did you do? I was trying to, I don't know, maybe I missed the correction. You did the correction there, but I missed it.
Okay. So the correction was that okay. The problem was that this is what I purposely tried to what I don't know if you can see the screen very clear. I purposely executed it what as with a different name, but only one S,
Okay, yeah,
so
I can
that I
see
can
that.
open it here. So that it does not happen like we are trying to open a file we have not even compiled yet, like a compiled file we don't even have yet.
Okay.
Please, does it make sense?
Okay, yeah, I think I'm getting it now.
Yes. So we could have equally, I think because I changed it. So right now it can be any file. So let me say example, or let me say file name. Let me use anything, file name here before then let me push it again so it doesn't confuse anyone here. Let me just say the file name, the name of the file you want to check, and the different modes. Let me try and comment them or no. And basically you wrote it down, right? Because I wrote it down here. So you have the different modes, right? So I said the R underscore OK is used to check if you have reading. This one is for writing. This one is for execution. This one is for what? For finding. So let's move on to the next function. So don't forget that it takes what? It takes the path of what? Of the file name, where the file can be found. Okay, or the file name. So we could have equally used, let me find another file here. Let's go into our what? Let's say Beneles, right? That is the most one we are most that's the most like the program we are mostly convenient to. So let's see this one. So you can use Beneles here. Let me implement this last one, then we move on to the next one. It's like we're wasting much time. So yes, no. Yes, so basically that is it. The file what exists basically because it's found a file and it's actually existing in our what. Let's when we try to find a file. The last time I explained all of this, so I don't want to go back to it again. Let's not waste much time. So the next function we want to check, okay, the next function we want to check is what is the change directory. I was explaining to you how when you want to what find when you open your terminal, okay. Let me implement. I was trying to explain to you guys why like situations where you want to open your terminal and you want to find the CD file, okay. So let's go to the home user. Yes, in the binary. Is it okay? Yes. So I explained to you guys the last time that there are some commands that the user will enter that you need to work on them manually. It is not what they don't have the program is not here. Something like I was playing the last time, like CD for instance, it's a built-in what command. The shell handles it internally. So if you go and try and look for the program CD, you realize that you don't even have it here. So let's check. So yes, CD does not exist here. So these are some of the commands you want to handle internally. So if the user enters a command like CD, you want to handle it internally. Okay. So then your shell is not supposed to go and look for what? A program called CD and execute it. It is supposed to what? Handle it internally. That means that it's supposed to what? Work on the CD as what? As a separate command. So if you are, I gave you guys the steps you are going to use. The first one was what? The passing the user's input, handling the user's input, right? So the user enters a command like CD. You don't have to what? The only thing you work on is the path the user is specifying. Let's say, let me enter CD here. And then let me try and go back. So let's say CD. This is the root. So when the user enters CD, the only thing you want to handle is what? The argument that comes after the CD. Okay. So let me go back to so let's say if the user enters CD, there is no program you are going to be executing. Okay, so you want to handle it internally. So that is what calls for the need of for this function, change directory. Okay, so let me write it. So the second function is what is small letter, so change directory, right? So basically yes. So the next one is change directory, and I think you wanted us to. Which one did they want us to use? It was I think it's man two. Most of them are man two. Yes. So yes, basically. So man two. Yes, so when you're in man 2, if you want to find out about it, you can just enter this, then you find out about it. So basically, yes. So let's move to this function or system call. So yes, so basically when we talk about the change directory key, it is a function, as the name says, that CHDIR is a function that is used to change what the current working directory of what of a process. So it's used to change what? So let me just say it's used to change directory. Okay. So let's say the user is in one or is on one path, is in a current working directory, and they want to what? Live there. Whenever they enter CD, this is what you're going to be using to what? To check that. So I said for this one we will learn everything about it before we try to implement it so that it does not confuse anyone. So this function here we have this CHD, the H comes with CHDIR. Let me write it here. DIR. Okay. So basically, what this one does is that in shell, you need to what change directory. Let's say either enters a command that involves file operations. Okay, let's say. So what we want to do is, why is this thing showing here? Let me get it. So sure. So what we want to do is, okay, you want to change your working directory to a different one. So it's the signature is something like this. Let me write. Let me type it. That one is very easy to type and just writing it so I can see it's very clear. So it returns an integer and then it also takes a constant. Most of the files that you're going to be dealing with takes a constant string. Okay. The same, it works just like the other one, just a constant string to the what? To the path, and then it just takes one. So with this one, you are just good to go. You just need to indicate the name of what? Of the file or the path of the what? The file, where the file is, and then it will what? It will start working on it. So
Do you mean int change directory? Because I can see you just have chir.
oh yes, sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let me just thank you very much. Okay. Um so yes, so basically this is it. And on success it returns 0. When we say a function returns something on success and on failure, I hope you all understand that concept. Let's say a function returns, or can anyone explain to us what it means for a function to return 0 on success and -1 on failure? The person can use this to so I didn't explain this, so I don't think this is a good one. So if anyone knows what it means, you can use any function to explain it to us. When we say that a function returns 1 on success and 0 0 on success and -1 on failure, what does it mean? Anyone? So anyone to help us? Okay, 0 on success. This is
Can I talk?
yes, please.
Okay, so we all know that a function performs a specific task. So if we are to, let's say, write a function that checks if a number is prime, right? The main purpose of that function is to check whether a number passed to it is prime or not. And so if the function is successful, as in if it detects that, oh, this one is prime, and then it works successfully, then you can say it should return 0. But then if it fails somewhere, say if somebody passes in not a number but let's say a letter, and then nobody can actually tell whether the letter is a prime or not, it will make the function to fail, right? So if the function fails, then it should like return -1 because it has failed. Yes, that's the little I can say.
Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. So, yes, basically that is the idea. She's right. So let's say if the function is able to perform its task, or if it's able to successfully accomplish what you want it to, that is when you can say that it will return what zero as success. And then if it fails, or if it is interrupted, okay. So if the function fails or if it is interrupted, so I'll demonstrate that now. So we can say that it's what it failed. So it returned a non. So let's just say it returns -1. Okay. So that is how the what it works just like every other function. That is how the what the CHDIR also works. So let's say
Sorry, I want to see something. Is it not just like a convention? Because at some point we do return +1 or something like that for errors.
okay, okay. So when you talk about convention, thank you very much. Yes, that is a good question. So let's say before should I say I'll go to it all? You are right. I'm coming to explain something. The exit function, okay, is what we can use to is a right function we can use to determine what the convention. Like let's say if it is one, then it's success. So with the exit with functions like exit, it has a status. Please listen very well. The exit like this, it has a status that will be depending on to keep track of something. So let's say I want to know specifically how the program was exited. So if it exited with zero, status zero, I can say that I'll come to that. It's what it runs successfully. If it exited with one, it did this.
You
If
get
it
me, sir?
exited with 99, it did this. Hello. So basically, yes. So I'll try and I'll come to you. For now, let's do with this. I'll come to the conversion and I'll use the exit to explain the conversion, like the different return types. And so yes, but for now, I want you to just understand that if a function returns zero, then it means the function was successful. Like let's say if you have read and then that's why when we are dealing with file input and output, you said that if read returns -1, then you want to like let's say if you want to allocate a memory address for a memory, you want to allocate memory for a certain buffer and then it fails, you want it to return -1 and then it prints that what it failed. And if it's successful, you want it to return zero and then it prints that what it was successful. So yes, so your question, I'll come back to it. It's a very good question. You're on the right track. I'll come back to it. I'll I'm trying to explain. So basically that is what happens. Okay. So let's try and implement the child change directory. Sorry. So see the allowed functions here. So let me clear the screen. Let me zoom in a bit. Uh, okay. So let me list them. So I made a mistake. Let's implement it here. So we add another file. So let's say we have child change directory. Why do I keep on saying child? Because of child processes, I'll explain child processes. I'll use fork to explain child processes. So we have this what change directory as a function. I hope I push the other file to my GitHub. Um, Let me do it so that I don't forget. I'll share the link to you so that you can have access to all the implementations we did today. So let me just clear it. Control plus K. What is this? What just happened? Oh, okay. No. Okay. Moment, guys. Please, before that, the person who talked about conversion, do you want to like add something, or you wanted to know, or you wanted to add something? Can we know so that you can say what I'm checking something? So the person who asked, okay. So let's move on. So the first thing you want to add is this: make sure you always remember your universal standard header file. So include hash include. So you want to include your universe. I think I should just create a header file for it, right, guys? Let me just create a header file. So v main.h, so that I don't have always have to be including it manually. So guys, header file if not defined, right? Then we want to main it's something like that, right? Guys, if I make a mistake, then you bring my attention to it. I think I'm forgetting a lot. C main underscore h, right? Then we want to end if yes, so we are good to go. So
Yeah.
yes, I think someone was talking. So this is standard library. We'll be using this very much, and then the universal standard they include. What are the other ones, guys? The other ones.
STD live. Okay, that one is there.
Okay. I think these ones we are good to go right now. Um. Okay. So yes, no, that one is already there. So STDIO. Yes. Started inputting output. I think we are good to go. So yes, let's go on. So we want to what? Include our main.h. So yeah, so let's start the implementation of what which function I read the change directory, right? So let's start with the implementation. So did I include the unit standard? Yes. So let's start with the implementation. So let's say we have our main, okay, boy, and then I think I should have written the code down before we start. But this helps in explaining. So let's say I said it takes what? It takes a string, right? Takes a string, which is what? The path name. So did I write it anyway? Yes. Which is the path to the what? To the file or the place you want to change it to. So let's say I don't know, it can be any path. It's the new directory the person wants to go to. Someone should give me a directory for us to go to. So let's say new directory, right? It can be any directory. Let's say the normal directory we know. So let's say to the roots, and then let me use a different example. It's becoming too. Let me just use this. Yes, user and then the bin. All right. I think this explains it. We are good to go. So it can be anything. It can be home. It can be home. Then you go to users. Then you go to I don't know their root. It can be any directory the person wants to change to. So then this is as you remember that in your shell you are not going to you are not going to be telling the how do we say you are not going to someone help me. You are not going to be including the path here. Okay. You are not going to manually include the path here. We will come to it. So this one is just me using it to explain. Okay. So you handle it as what arguments to the program or the command that the person entered. So this is an example of what a directory. So am I on the right track? So yes, so let's use another statement to tell. So we want to say that if what we said it returns what it returns 0 on success. So what we want to write is the condition is that if child, so oh God, if change new directory, okay, if change new directory is successful, so we want to say it's equal to 0. Then what do we want to do? We want to print we want to print change directory to. You can equally not. So where are you going? You want to change directory to what? To user thing. I think I need to get rid of this so that I can be able to type smoothly for everyone. See, don't forget your semicolon. If it fails, yeah, that you could have equally said that if it is equal to -1, to say that is what is an error, but I'll come to all of that since our friend made mention of conventions here. So you want to print an error to the screen, right? So you want to print an error to the screen that it is a change directory error, and you can equally print something like anything. Let's say fail to change directory. Fail to change directory. So I think yes, basically my semicolon, we are returning an integer. So guys, am I on the right track? Are we good? Is anyone confused?
You forgot to put a semicolon in the character when you declared the character.
He's a Python guy, lah. Don't forget.
Guys, where is it? The promise I can't even find it. Which one? Is it a if? Okay, okay, okay.
No,
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you very much. It's not easy. This new transition is going to worry. Should I use a GCC flag? No. For now, guys, I'm not using a GCC flag because I'm not following what the normal standard. I'm not even supposed to make this type of declarations. So this is what we want to do. Let's say so the user here is the case. The user enters a command and the business enters CD. And then what you want to do is when I come to string tokenization, I'll explain how we are going to be taking the commands and then we are going to separate it into what arguments and what and commands. I said in the last session that it's very tricky when it comes to this. So for now, I want you to understand that I'm just manually doing it for them, like using it to explain. But that wouldn't be the case because the directory or the path can be any path. The user would want to go anywhere. So when you're handling CD internally, you want to make sure that whatever the person types next after that CD command is what is a path. And if the person has access to what, or if the person is able to successfully change directory for the person, you want to print what changed directory to. It doesn't really matter as long as they are there. They will know that obviously it's worked like they are there. But if not, you want to what print an error that you've what failed to change directory. So let's say before that, let me use this for an example. Let's say I want to change directory into a path which does not exist, or a directory here. Let me see, there are no directory. So let me say a directory here which does not exist. Let me say I want to go to home. Okay. So it actually prints the command you used and it prints where you wanted to go and it says no such file or what directory. Then it tells you that what the file or the path you want to go does not exist. Basically something like that. Right. So let's run our program. Let's see if we are good to go. So you want to what should we use? Should we use CH? Let's use CA. No, let's use the name. So can I use it? Yes, I can. So good. Okay. So it tells us that it changed what to what. User bin. I'm coming. A new line. Okay, so basically, so basically that is it. So I know that someone will be like, but then we are still in our current directory. Why didn't it move us towards our current directory? I know you asked. So yes, the reason why it did not move us towards our current directory is because we have not handled it. We have not handled the path. Okay. So let's say that's why I was saying that when it comes to string tokenization, I explain how the your show will be able to illustrate that what this thing is what how do we say it? It's a way to illustrate that this is arguments and this is what commands, right? So basically, the function we can use for that is the next function we are going to talk about. The function we can use for that is the next function we are going to talk about. Because of time, I know I'm rushing a bit, but when you get time, you can just be going through them. Let me add this one too. You can just be going through them. So change directory. So yes, so let's move on to the next function. So does anyone have questions concerning this um change directory function of system call? Is anyone confused? Any question? Or we are good to go to the next function. That will explain what how we'll be able to actually work on them. Can we move on? Is anyone confused? Any addition? Anyone want to say anything? Okay, so take it as a no. So now we will come to what the most crucial part of it, of the function, the most crucial ones. And then I want us to start with, let's start with exec the one that does most of the magic. So we have exec Okay, yes. So what is the exec function? I will not add any manual to it, but when you say man exec you will know it will give you what you want, or you can equally ask ChatGPT to anything. So when you talk about exec okay. So in let's say when we are here, let's go to our show. Let me demonstrate it on our show. In our show, sorry. So let's say this is my terminal, right? And then whenever I run ls, okay, for now we just see that what the program has been executed. The shell goes, let me use it to explain. The shell goes to so let's say this is the operating system, okay, and this is our us, the user. Let's say this is the user. Okay, the users. So when you and this is the shell. The shell is the bridge, as Miriam said the last time, that is the bridge between the operating system and the user. So let's say whenever you enter command like ls, okay, and I was saying that ls is what? It's a program in the what? The operating system. So your shell goes and then it does what? It searches through what? The operating system and it finds this executable program, the ls, and it comes to what? Execute it. All right. So this is what happens. This is how we can use exec here. So when this happens, I was explaining processes the last time. Shell itself is a program, as Miriam said. It is a program. It's a running instance of what? Of a program. So whenever you open Shell, it is running, eagerly waiting for the user to what? Enter a command so that it what? It goes with it, right? So whenever it finds a program, what happens? It executes the program. It runs it. So as this program here, ls, is running, or in the instance of it running, the process, okay, means that there are two processes in the system. First of all, shell is a process running on its own, and it is trying to run what? This as a program. Okay, so what makes shell able to run this program and bring it back to the user, the output to the user, it being a process itself, is the use of what? The exec Okay, so I think before I can be able to explain this for everyone to understand, I have to jump to fork. I hope everyone is okay. I think it will confuse you a bit, but when let me finish explaining this and I'll go to fork and explain fork before coming to the exec So this is what happens. The shell itself is what? It's a running instance of a program. Instance of a program. So it is running, it is being executed. Okay, it is running. And then it is trying to what? Run this program to for the user to what? See the output. So this is when the exec comes into use, you want to use the exec to what? Execute the new program. I don't know if it is making sense. Because the shell is what? It's a bunch of codes. What does it do? One of the things is that it executes a command, which is a program, and it uses this exec to what? To execute what? This what? Program. And then it sends the output to what? To the user. Yes, so basically, I want to start from fork and come to the exec before what? You'll be able to understand it very much. I explained processes the last time. So let's go to fork for the meantime.